if you had a $20 bill 20 years ago and you have a $20 bill today, nominally, they're identical. But what that $20 bill would buy you 20 years ago and what it buys you today is vastly different. So in this way, corporations get you to actually work for less because it looks like you're working for more.
Yeah.
So a great example is 1971 in the US, the average wage was $9,500, and a family of four could live with one wage earner. Today, the average wage is something like $53,000. So, on the nominal face of it, hey, wouldn't you rather have 53,000 than 9,500? Sure, but it requires two people at that income, and you're still paycheck to paycheck. And most people can't put $400 together to pay for an emergency. And the stimulus checks are going out to anybody that makes less than $75,000 a year, or a couple making less than $150,000 a year. Part of what people don't understand is that silver in any form, here's chopsticks, is still monetary, so is gold at its base. Right? And so we have to keep that in mind that, I agree with you. I would much rather have something that's tangible and real, that has a real function. But when I crunched them the last time, the true fundamental value of silver is about $600 an ounce.
Wow.
And, and when I say that, because you're going, wow, however, here's how you get that. Silver is the secondary monetary instrument, and it has a use. So does gold. Gold is the primary, silver is the secondary. And it has use across the entire global economy. So both physical gold and silver have the broadest base of buyer and the broadest base of functionality. I mean, it's used in electronics, it's used in cell phones, it's used in food, it's used in the monetary system, it's used in every single area of the global economy. So no matter what you're doing, you always want to say, okay, well, what is its true value? Something that's completely being overlooked in the markets, in every area of the markets these days, because they're telling us this time is different. Not different. It's never different. 4,800 times is telling me it's not different.
Yeah.
But if you want to know the true fundamental value of any asset or instrument, so it's not just some talking head going, well, it's worth $600 or it's worth $50,000 or it's worth zero or what have you. The way that you get it's a little nuanced, but you need to figure out what is the single most important function that asset or that instrument performs for its creators, not what you want it to do, but why was it created to begin with? And then you can look at how history has valued that function. So that you don't have to say, well, what's your price target? That has nothing to do with me, because I'm not going to sell silver. When silver gets to $600 an ounce, I'm going to use these chopsticks to buy real goods. I'm not going to turn them into paper, right? Fiat money that is rapidly losing value. And so I would always find it at like yard sales, estate sales, and people would go, oh, no, I don't want to polish that. Great, I'll buy it for nothing, and I'm happy to polish it. It doesn't even need to be polished, who cares? So, the best tip, because so much of that is off the market now, but you would still look, and it has to be marked either sterling or 925, and then it's 92.5% pure. Probably the best tip that I can give you if you're looking for junk silver is to contact an antique dealer, because a lot of times when they're doing a buy, they're going to buy like a whole lot of stuff so they can have a lot of scrap sterling. And if they sell it to a smelter, they're going to get below spot. So, I mean, these days, maybe not. I don't know because I haven't bought any junk silver in just a minute. Although that's not exactly true. But if you go to a dealer and you offer them spot or you offer them more than they can make at the smelter, that's a great place to buy junk silver. But
Nice.
estate sales, yard sales, if you have any sterling silver jewelry, in your jewelry box, necklaces, or when I would travel, we were talking about traveling overseas, I would always have some gold and silver chains around my neck underneath my clothes so that if anything happened, I always had money because it's universally accepted as money. Well, I think that the bankers have been quite good at creating a whole lot of silver and a whole lot of gold that does not nor ever will exist. And, we have to keep in mind that a rising gold price, a rising silver price, gold mostly because it's the primary currency metal, but a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. Silver is more volatile because it's used in more places and it gets used up in manufacturing. Do I think that they could? What I find really interesting is that President Johnson in the 60s, 70s, end of 60s, mid 60s, when they decided to take the silver out of the coins, actually came out, anybody can search it and they'll find it, and admitted that the government would manipulate the price of silver to prevent the hoarding. And we certainly saw what happened to the Hunt brothers in the 80s when they attempted to corner the silver market. Additionally, since then, it takes a while before the Federal Reserve releases the full documents from their meetings, but there are so many actual admittances to manipulating pricing, mostly in gold from the central banks. However, there's something like, I think it was Egon von Greyers who said that there's something like 100,000 ounces of silver that are shorted that do not exist and never will. Personally, it was before I knew how to print a screen, unfortunately, but I saw with my own eyes on the Bank for International Settlements website in their derivative gold. At one point, before they changed the way they accounted for everything, 62,000 ounces of digital gold for every one physical ounce.